Thank you all for joining the session. Just a quick introduction over here. This is Sheetal, and I take care of operations within Anamind. And today we have the third session of our Focus Pro learning series. So this is something that we have started back in Jan, and each month we have about an hour of session where we discuss about various features of Forecast Pro. So that's something that you can also incorporate and improve your forecast further or improve your process further. So that's our aim, to equip you with all the tips and tricks of Forecast Pro. And before that, I would like to take a couple of minutes just to introduce Anamind as a company and our various offerings, and about Focus Pro for the users or for the people who are new to the system. Anamind is all about business planning and forecasting. So we help companies improve their planning processes and forecasting capabilities. How do we do that? We have various solutions, services, and education for that. In terms of solution, we have Forecast Pro, which is one of the oldest and quite powerful solution in demand planning. It has more than 40,000 plus users across the globe, and is giving very good results. So we have Forecast Pro as one of the offering, and similarly, with the respect to supply chain planning, we have couple of other solutions as well, which focus on other areas of supply chain planning as well as financial planning. So we have Streamline, which can do demand planning as well as inventory optimization and MRP. Uh, and then we have Plan Visage, which is quite a holistic solution, which can do demand planning, inventory planning, MRP, and production planning and scheduling. And then we have Planful, which can do financial planning, budgeting, projections. All the FP&A requirement are met through the other solution that we have. So these are our solution offering. Then we have the service portfolio where we offer our services as an outsource engagement. We also help companies create the BI reports and analytical reports and automate them. And in terms of planning as a service, we offer our resource and expertise on setting up the planning function or generating the forecast. That's also part of our services. And finally, the education, where we have various sessions or training programs. We have classroom session as well as over the web series. Not CDs, it's a web session, and then we have the self-paced online courses. So this is all with respect to business planning and forecasting. So each of the area that you see over here is touching the business planning and forecasting piece. So that's who we are as Anamind. And for today's session, we'll be focusing on Forecast Pro. So just to give you all a brief gist of what Forecast Pro is. So Forecast Pro is a solution from a company known as Business Forecast System based out of US. And as I said in the beginning, they have more than 40,000 plus users across the world. And it's a quite powerful solution which can help you generate forecast with a click of button in just few minutes, depending on how much data that you have, how many SKUs that we are planning. And we're proud to say that we are partners with this solution, which have won M3 competition, which is one of the biggest forecasting competition out there. So each year there's a market focus competition that happens, and Focus Pro was a winner there couple of years back. And it's a solution which is one of the oldest solution out there for demand planning and forecasting. It's 35 plus years in making now. So that's what it is. Now, with respect to the various features and options, I'm sure I'll be walking you through that today. But just to give you an overview of the client base and some of the feature that we have. Now, for today's session, we're just keeping it brief, but this is the most critical part of forecasting. So as we all know that forecasting starts off with data. We look at the past data and we use that past data to project the future. Now, if the historical data, if there are some anomalies in the data, if we do not correct them, then our forecast is also not going to be correct. So it's it's really, really critical that we look at how do we go about correcting and managing our historical sales data, and using the corrected, much cleaner history to forecast, and then generate an accurate forecast, right? Now, the first part is we have so much historical data that it becomes, in certain cases. So, what we have noticed that the when we have like 5 to 6 years of sales data, sometimes things change in a product, and if and in certain cases businesses might not have the information what happened in a certain month for a certain SKU, like 5 years back or 3 years back. It's very difficult to remember all of it, and we you might notice that that particular event is has an impact on your data now. Now, how do you go about correcting such a information? Because that it's really important in such situation that either we truncate the data, truncate the historical data in a fashion that we are looking only at the latest information. But there is an important, you know, way or an important feature in Forecast Pro which we can utilize just by going in the project, looking at the data and seeing okay, over here let's not take that data which is no more relevant to our situation now. So in such case we can tell the system that start of the historical series from a certain point after from the point where we see the data to be perfectly in line with how the patterns or the product behavior should be in terms of today's market. So I'm going to take that data set today and show you an example. So I'm using the historical series of a data point, and I'm going to use the data length variable that we have. So I'm just reading that information, and let's look at the graph over here. So now this is one product, and then this product we can see that in month of July 2017, for this product something happened because of which we see a very high sale. Now this may or may not have an impact now in our data, but we definitely know that this is something that's totally not no more relevant for us. If I do not include, for example, if I just remove an ML model, sometimes when we have a lot of data, I yeah, so sometimes when we have a lot of data, we might not be including machine learning in such case. Now we have powerful ML model, but in case where we are not using machine learning method, then you can notice, right? So I've removed the machine learning method, and we can see this particular sales data that we have, or this particular data point that we have for this SKU has quite a drastic impact on my focus. My focus is becoming zero because it's seeing that downward projection, and the anomaly is this particular month. Now, if you are not using an ML model, sometimes ML model automatically corrects it, as we saw in the beginning. But if you're not using ML model because the number of SKUs that you're managing is quite humongous, and it really consumes a little more time. In such cases, what we can do, or even if, say, for example, ML model is not automatically picked up by the system, but we know that this time period that we see on our series is really causing is causing an impact on our forecast. So what we can do, there is an option which is called as start dates, and this is something that we can honestly use, and we can define that I do not want to include the data up till July. I want the system to start the history on, say, for example, August period. And we can quickly select that August or September, whatever that month you would want to define or determine. You can do that. And automatically now you see at least some numbers which are coming in, which is more relevant for the time being now. I would honestly want to start my series from, say, for example, from December or Jan, probably, and it would not take into account maybe the impact of the high sale in couple of months before. So this is one option that we have within Forecast Pro, which you all can utilize, where you can mark uh, these these data points and say, okay, this is no more relevant for me, so let's chuck that data point. So it will be available when you would be looking at your historical sales data. All of it is available. It's just that system is not considering that for the purpose of generating a best fit forecast model. Okay. If you have any question, we can either take it now. I'm taking a pause for a couple of minutes, but else we'll take the question at the end of the session. Okay. So moving on, the second point is on correcting the outliers. So outliers are really, really important for us to correct. Now, the same data set, if I look previously when we had not marked the outlier, and I'm just going to remove the modifier, we know that this data point is automatically being picked up by the system as an outlier. And it has its, this is a severe outlier in our case. This is impacting the forecast by a significant number, even though it happened like quite some time back. So there is a provision in the system that we can correct the outliers. We can, we need to mark the outliers, but we have to be, as a business user, we have to be very, very careful in correcting and marking the outlier. But before even talking about, correction of the outlier, I would want to focus a bit on the option that we have, which is for the outliers settings that we have over here. By default, there are three options with respect to detection or correction of outlier. One is that system does not even detect the outlier. The second option is that system detects the outlier, but it just detects only, and then it leaves it to the uh, user for them to correct or not correct the outlier, or correct it in a different method, which we'll be talking about in a bit, which is through event marking as well. But we have this option of detection only, and then we have detection and correction. Now, the third setting is something that we often tell our users not to, select in their data sets. The reason being, sometimes correcting a severe outliers is good thing for the data, but if the outlier is truly not severe, then we might be trying to smoothen out the history without without really knowing what exactly happened, why such and such thing happened in my data. So, correcting a moderate outlier is bad for the purpose of forecasting, because it will unnecessarily smoothen the data which is not required. And if there are many such SKUs, and mass marking them as mass correcting them at a global level is really not a good exercise. It's going to reduce your forecast accuracy with, and also it will narrow down the confidence limits. If I mark, let's look at the confidence limit over here. You see the confidence limit is quite high in this case, and this is because of the aberration that we see in the data. But if I correct this outlier, how can I correct it? I will have to right click and go to the outliers and see that correct this outlier. You can see automatically it has narrowed down the confidence limit. So it's kind of giving you an unrealistic picture over here, saying that you have a good 95% confidence of the forecast falling within this range. So in a case of severe outlier situation, this is good. But if it's a moderate outlier which wasn't supposed to be corrected, then it's a bad thing to do with your forecast, because it's giving you an unrealistic picture and unrealistic confidence on your forecast. And how do you define the confidence limit? That you can define from your options. And this is where you have the upper confidence limit and lower confidence limit. By default, system takes 95%. That's the built-in setting. So the lower is 2.5 and the upper confidence limit is 97.5. So overall it is 95%. You can reduce and increase it. This is a good estimate for the planner, in terms of a guidance with respect to how confident are we with respect to our forecast. Is my forecast reliable or not? What is the range within which we are looking for the forecast to fall? Because forecast is really not a point number. We are estimating it, and we need to provide a range as well. And if you're not confident, basically if this range is narrow, it gives an indication, if the data is normal and if this range is narrow, it basically is a good estimate, in the sense it's with good confidence that you're able to say that plus or minus 100 unit. So my forecast is say 90 or say 150, plus or minus 50 or 100 is that range within which my forecast is expected to fall. So that's the actually the usage of looking at the confidence limit. So we were somewhere over here discussing about why it's important not to correct each and every outlier which the system is generating. And the reason is it gives you an unrealistic estimate. It unnecessarily smoothen out your data, which shouldn't happen in a normal circumstance. Now, how the system is detecting the outlier, now that is important to understand as well before we go about talking about the other aspects. One is the standard deviation. So, what the standard deviation is, and let me remove the modifier for you to be able to understand that little better. We have these fitment over here, and this is the model fitment. So, system is selecting an linear trend additive model. I can look at it in the forecast report. So system is saying that by looking at all the data set that we have, we are using an exponential smoothing method. And then it's basically narrowing down the choice between two models, but finally it is selecting an exponential smoothing model. And these are the parameters of it. And system is trying to backcast the model in the history and trying to fit that data. And it's trying to determine the fitted errors. So we can also look at the fitment over here, and you can notice that this is the biggest. This is the data set which is the highest deviation with respect to the model fitment and the actual data. So what it is trying to, when we correct the outlier, what it is saying that ideally it should have been, the value should have been what the fitment value that you see now, which is ideally it should be 380 unit. But because of this outlier situation, we ended up selling approximately uh, 2000 units. So there is a 1700 unit of overselling in this time period. So that's system detecting. So when we are going to correct this as an outlier, it is going to replace this data point with the fitment value and then rerun the model and generate the forecast over here. So that's how it is detecting and correcting the outlier. I hope this is clear to all.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So I
But
am just trying to,
Sheetal,
yeah.
this is Deepak. I have one question. So you have shown the example for one product, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
there are multiple products, okay? For
Right.
so how to do it for multiple products? Because doing for a single product is it's okay, but for multiple 100 line items, 200 line items at each SKU level, so how to
Mm-hmm.
do it for that?
Right, and that's a good question. I mean, when you are dealing with thousand of SKUs, it just becomes difficult to go to each and every line item. um, on a regular basis and correct that often. Now what you can do in such instances, you can do an ABC analysis. You can upload your price information, so you would want to honestly look at those items which are very critical to you. uh, Either you upload the price information, or else you tell the system that I want to use my past 6 months historical data. I don't know what your way of looking at the ABC analysis is. How do you measure the ABC factors? But in this case, you can tell the system that I want to rely on past 6 months and future 12 periods for the purpose of identifying the A, B, C class items. Now, once I do that, of course, there is just one item over here, but in the report, in the item report that you get, or even in the outlier report that we would have, um, let's see if we can activate the Pareto. So we can activate the Pareto, and what you can do is you can give a filter in the outlier reports. This is the report which gives you list of all the outliers that the system has detected. Now you can select the A class item, and I would suggest that for A class item, you go one by one and correct them. But for C class item, right? For C class item, you can tell the system to auto correct all the outlier, because those are not so significant item for you anyways, for you to be spending so much of your time in correcting the data there. So focus on A class, I would say, and I'm sure the list would be very small for A class items where you would find outlier. But for B and C class item, you take a call depending on your number of SKUs and the impact that each of the category would have. So what you can do is you can bring those all the items. So you can filter on all C class item. If you would right click, you can actually add that list to the hot add that list to hot add to hot list. You can do a hot list, and once all the items are added in the hot list, what you can do is you can right click and apply the modifier to, you get this option of marking to the hot list. Right now it's all blank, so nothing would happen. But if there are multiple data sets, then it just becomes it comes handy. I hope, Deepak, I was able to answer your
Yeah,
question. Okay. Now, moving on, the next section is marking events. Now, there is a very, sometimes in some situation, there is a very small line between outliers and events. And that's the reason it becomes really important for us to only detect the outliers and the user to be able to take a call whether that outlier, should we consider that as an event, or should we consider it something else? The reason being that in this case, had we known, if if this was something that had happened quite recently, like about a year back, that because there was price change that was expected to happen in the month of August. A lot of people kind of, your distributors or your customers basically uh, bought the product in excess in a month in advance, because they were expecting a price change, and the price change was resulting in this excessive ordering from your customer. Now, if you have this information, then and that the price change is also going to happen sometime in future, then you do not want to you would not want to smoothen out the data in this fashion. You can create an event in that regard, and I have another product which I would really want to talk about. But in this case, let's first use this example, then we'll move to the other case that we have. So I'm just creating an event over here, which is my price change. So I've created that event in the system. And I'm saying that this time period, there were two time period when the price change happened. So I'm telling that in the system that this was because of price change. It was not because of anything else. I've marked and corrected them as events and not as an outlier, because I know that this is something that can also repeat in future. I mean, if you're expecting the price change to happen again, say somewhere in, hang on, why it's not taking. Yeah, so if we know that the price change is expected to happen somewhere in, okay, it's not allowing me to do that for some reason. But if there is a price change that's expected to happen in future, we can actually use that information to market in future as well. And automatically we can capture the impact of the event from the past and apply it to future. And let me, hang on. I'm just going to open a new project over here. And I'm going to read in a separate data set which we have. And this is the better example. Now, in this case, we have an example of a product which the system is detecting as an outlier in this case. So we have this small green dot which is being detected as an outlier, which reflects that the system is detecting that as an outlier. We can look at the same information in the reports as well, and the outlier report would give us the clue that uh, the sale the actual data is of 26,000. That's the outlier value. The corrected value which the system is suggesting is of 6,272 unit. So there's a delta, which means that because of whatever reason, we kind of oversold by 20,000 units. So normally we don't do such a high sale, but in this case we did. And the reason was we did a promotion in this time period and some of the products were given away for free. So uh, now this is information which we know, and we know that because of the success of this promotion, the company wants to run it again this year. If I look at my fitted value, I can see rest of the data that's more or less being captured correctly by the system, but not this data point. And the reason is because we had done some promotion. So now this year you can see system is trying to increase the sale for the current year Jan as well, but it's neither meeting the high peak and it's neither making meet neither a normal smoothened out data which is roughly about 6,000 unit which we typically do in Jan. So it's hovering somewhere in the middle because it's confused. It doesn't know what happened last year in Jan, and that's where we can provide the information in the system and say that this was a giveaway event. And we did a pre-giveaway promotion as well. And the word spread by word of mouth. And the next month, we kind of saw a very high sale. And let me show you that in the data. See, for the month of December, we sold 8,592. The reason being that this was also uh, some of the giveaway portion was also covered in this time period. So there was some pre-giveaway session, and then we had the full-fledged giveaway promotion in this particular month. So there was an instance that December was also impacted because we can clearly see that in the past, never ever in December we saw such a high sale. In this year, sorry, in this year, December, if we look, even with Christmas, we were able to sell only 6,000 units roughly. But this year, something special happened. And this year, we kind of, we did not sell so much. So we know that this year, December did not go as we had done the sale in the past. But now, the reason being that we have pushed the pre-giveaway session in Jan and then the final giveaway session in Feb. If that's how it is going to be, if that's how it's going to be run, and what we can do is we can tell the system that this is the giveaway time period and this Jan is going to be my giveaway time period. Okay, it's for some reason it is not allowing me to select I'm not sure what's happening. I had faced some technical issues just before the call, and might be because of it. Sorry, this is pre-giveaway session, not giveaway. And this is my giveaway data set. So I've selected that, and now we can clearly see that there is a normalization for the month of Jan. But unfortunately, this did not select well. So it's not really a good representation. Maybe this is something that we can cover next time as well. But I hope you got the point that uh, this is something that we can see. This is pre-giveaway. Okay, it's not somehow not working out. Okay, anyways, the thing is that we can use this information and model it in future as well, just by selecting the data on the system on the fly. And that's how it's important to differentiate when do you use event for correcting and normalizing your history, and when do you use just the event information for correcting your historical sales data. I hope this distinction is quite clear to you all. And of course, there would always be a judgment that should come based on your knowledge of your products, based on how your business is run, based on what happened for that time period, why there was such a drastic sale. The key question is it something that's going to repeat again, or was it just truly one time? If it's just truly one time, never ever it's expected to happen again, then you can mark it as an outlier. But it is, if it's something that's going to repeat again, and it's this and you know the reason behind that event, then you can actually mark it as event. Now, the final section that we have over here is working with the modifiers. So, because we are working with a huge list of data set, it becomes really, really important for us to tell the system or clean the data by using the modifier function. Now, what is this modifier? Say, for example, there are there are a lot of products that you're managing, and that there are out of those 1,000 products or 1,010,000 product, say some 10% of the products are becoming phased out. They're being discontinued, but they're being discontinued at different point in time. You would not want to go in the system and mark each and every item as whether, okay, this is discontinued, but this is going to be discontinued from a certain time period or something like that. You would not want to do that. The system gives you a flexibility of uploading that information through the modifier file in this part of the screen over here. And it's very easy to prepare this modifier file, but for that, first we need to understand what the modifiers are. And for that, it's very easy to understand that. Now, what the modifiers are in this case, you can see we have the SKU, but after the SKU code, we have a slash and then the event equal to whatever the information is being mentioned. So this is the modifier. Anything apart from the SKU code that you see against this SKU is your modifier. Now, system has certain uh, pre-built modifier functions that you can access through the program reference file, because I cannot go to each and every detail over here, but I wanted to guide you where you can find these modifiers. So we have custom modifier on page number, um, this is 145. Let's see, it will be slightly after 145 section. Let's see. Yeah. No, no, not here. Yeah. So see, these are typically the modifiers that we have, and yeah. So you see, slash lower equal to I, slash upper equal to U. So this is where you can set the upper and lower confidence limit against each and every SKU if you want to do that. Or else it would be a global setting in the system which is of 95%. You can change that as well, but it would be globally applied for all the SKUs. But if you want to specify a particular upper and lower confidence limit, then you can use this variable in the modifier file to determine what the value should be. The lead time, the time fence, the par key, and there are some of the modifiers that you see over here, like fixed after equal to. Then in this fashion, if you would provide, then system would know that it has to give a fixed value as a forecast after this period, or fixed n, which means that the system should generate a forecast of whatever that n number is, um, value. So this is where you can actually look at all the different types of modifiers that the system is suggesting. You can see over here, these are the, for discontinue, this is the discontinue function or the modifier variable, which is slash discount. If it is, if the product is being discontinued after a certain time, then this is the variable that you can use. So it's pretty easy for you to set these variables through the Excel file. And let's quickly touch upon how do you look at the modifier files as well. Okay, I don't think so. I would have it here. I'll have to open the Forecast Pro again, just to show you some of the pre-built files that we have within Forecast Pro, which you can refer to. So after uploading the historical data, you can also upload the modifier file. Now there are various types of modifier file. So once the Focus Pro is installed in your system, you can also look at these pre-built sample files, which also would be installed along with the data, along with the system. So for example, we have 123 bakery modifier file. So in this case, we have the product hierarchy information till here, till column D, and after that we have to give the uh, column name, column header as modifier, and then after that you can give the modifier variable. So whether it is outlier correct, whether it is lead time, whether it is a simple model or it is a top-down winter model, and we are providing this modifier at a higher level, not at the SKU level. This is how you can create those modifier files. For example, if instead of lead time 2, you want to discontinue this product, all you have to do is just mention this. And when you would be reading this file, it will automatically, this modifier will get applied at all these different levels. So that's how you can quickly and easily upload a modifier file in the system and can manage the phase outs automatically in the system, and not just phase out. Typically a lot of companies, along with managing the phase out, they also look at certain other information as well. If there are running events, and for a group of category, they are running same specific set of events um, every month or every year, then it just becomes easy to create that kind of event schedule. Number one, you can create an event schedule. How can you create an event schedule? I'll not get into the details today, but say, for example, an event schedule is created, then you can create that event modifier as well in the system, and you know use that information for marking events. Hmm. Or if there is a specific model that you would want the system to use, but it's applicable for quite a number of SKUs, so instead of marking them one by one, you can mass upload it through this file use it judiciously, and it would be really helpful for you to manage a large data set. And that's what this option is available in the system, which is over here. If you want, I can quickly show you how can you upload this information, what kind of impact it would have, so that you have better clarity. I'm going to upload the ABC data, which is ABC historical data. So I've updated that. Might take some time because I've enabled the ML model. So it's quickly running that up. So it took roughly a few seconds to upload that information. After that, I am going to upload the modifier file, and here is the modifier file which we saw in the system. Some of the modifier can have an impact on my data and the forecast, so it's rerunning the models again. But instead of going one by one to each and every SKU, you can see automatically system is using that information from the file, and creating that list over here. You saw, right? We had provided a winter top down model at a muffin levels. That's automatically applied over here. Then we have these different um, modifiers with lead time 1, lead time 2, some of the other models that we have, simple model, and outlier correction, lead time. So all of that information is just uploaded in one shot in the system, without too much manual intervention uh, or time consuming exercise in the system. So yeah, this brings us to an end to the data management section. Our data management section is pretty vast. I did not want to cover a lot of other detail, but things that you would use on a regular basis is something that I wanted to cover on today's session, which is with respect to outlier event and you know correcting and ignoring some set of data which may or may not be so relevant now. And of course, the final one being the modifier function. So this brings us an end to the session today. But if you have any questions, um, we are open to discussing them now. Any question with on not just on the section that we have covered so far today, but on any other topic that you have a query on with respect to Forecast Pro, we would be happy to answer that.
Hi, Abhishek here.
Yeah, Bishik.
So this is from marketing event. So in marketing events,
Abhishek, your
I want
voice
to
is
ask you,
breaking.
am I audible?
Yeah.
So in marketing events, I wanted to ask, like, is there an option for us to adjust, the flexibility of prediction, event prediction? Like we will,
Um, for you to adjust what? I'm so sorry. Can you?
uh, so like we will predict based on this event. Right? We will mark some events, and the future events will be based on what happened in the history of those events.
Right, right.
So if we have given this event like price change
Mhm.
can be big and small as well. So if that at all, like if there's a big price change, I want the flexibility to I want it to be more flexible to change. We have such
I am sorry, Abhishek. I was not able to understand your question in detail. If you can put that on chat, that would be great because there's a lot of background disturbance. But just want to quickly, because you have asked this question about marking event and using that for the future. So see, in this case, I've quickly marked an event on this section over here, and automatically system is saying that because of this event, we saw an uptick in sales by 23,000 units. In if the data is more if the data has like multiplicative seasonality or something, then it would it might give you number like 1.2, which indicates that your sales are up by 20% than the normal level. So this is where you get to see and adjust the values. Sorry, you get to see and look at the event code, and the same event code you can also apply in the future, which I'm unfortunately not able to do today. I had some technical issues. No, it's not allowing me to do that. Not today. And the second portion is that you might want to customize your events, and you can customize them through this section over here. You can say schedule one. Right now, the system is saying that because of this event, my sales went up by 140%. You can, just uh, custom multiplicative, for example. You can change the event code value. You can say that I'm expecting an increase by only 50% and not by 140%, which the system was suggesting. And it would take that information as well into account while making that correction for you. Abhishek, have you put your query on the chat?
No, no, I got your point.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Any other question that um, you would have, or anyone has, we can cover that today. Else, we'll close the session for today, and you can always email your questions to me, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. We have recorded this session, and we will be sending a recorded a video as well after the session to all of you.
Hi, Sital.
Hey, Asan.
Hi. So, can you show the event this July or August event is showing here to repeat this event in next year?
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, it was not, you are not able to access, edit this event.
I'm still not able to do that, unfortunately. I
Oh,
had to reinstall Focus Pro. Something happened with my machine, so I think the last moment I had to do that. So unfortunately, it's not allowing me to mark the event in future for now. I think there's some issue, but I'll get that rectified. But tell me your question, Ehsan.
this is this one. We want to know how it event number is showing in future
Oh,
also.
right. Let me see if I have an example from my previous data just to quickly show you something. I'm just opening a previous example file, and I'm just checking if we have some data there to be able to show you the example. In Okay, just give me a second. Bear with me. Okay, there is one schedule, but I'm not really sure whether system is. Mhm. Manage event. No, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. See, I'm clicking here, but it's selecting the last month of my historical data. So what it is, just to give you context, Ehsan, what it does. So as I was showing you this forecast report, right? Now in this case, because had marked a stock out event, it's saying that because of stock out, we lost about 97 unit of my sale. So this unit information that we have, that because of this event resulted in a reduction in sale by so much amount, that same thing gets applied in my future time period as well. If there is an additive sale, which means that I got positive sale of about 1000 unit or 10,000 unit because of doing a promotion, that additional unit that you get to see, that the system is capturing from my past data, that gets applied to my future event that I will be marking in the system.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the add-on. I'll definitely show it to you on our next call, and I'll fix this issue at my end. But yeah, that's how the essence or the basic principle of event adjustment is all about. Okay. Any other question?
No, from my side.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right. Thanks everyone for joining the session today. I mean, it was really interactive. I hope you are finding these sessions useful. We would love to hear your feedback as well as any inputs that you have for the next session. Feel free to give that to us so that we can incorporate it, and we'll try to create something for you around those lines in our next call. But overall, thank you so much. Thanks for being there today. Um, have a good day. Yeah.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.